first of all, thank you for joining me.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, like I was saying before, delving into your amazing fashion journey, talk to me what it was, that brought you closer to the landscape of entertainment.
I've actually always gravitated towards it. I've derived a lot of joy in general from being a performer. I was very, very young when I started going up on stage because I used to train to be a Bharatanatyam dancer. I started training to be a Bollywood dancer. I did a bunch of different shows. It started from school plays and annual day performances. It eventually went into hosting and being on stage in college when I randomly went and auditioned for a theater group, and I was very surprised that I made it through. That's how it started. So I was always very sure that this is where my life is, and I always knew that this is where I'm the happiest. I feel the most confident. I feel the most like myself when I'm on stage, or if I'm performing, or any sort of artistic expression that I get through to. I was very bad at art, though I never got through to that. But everything else, as long as it had to do with me being on stage, I think I was always there. So I started doing theater when I was in college. Went into doing radio eventually. That's how I kind of swerved into YouTube. That started. YouTube kind of opened up all these avenues for me that I didn't know were even a possibility. So that came as a very, very happy surprise. And then it just was. It started with Mismatch, went into Juk Juk Jio, a bunch of other projects that I did. And at this point, I just feel like I love the fact that I get to be a creator in a space that is so dynamic. And I don't think I could have asked for a better positioning work wise.
Yeah, and like you pertaining to Mismatched, so delving a bit into your acting journey, you are most probably known as for your involvement in Mismatched. So I know season 3 is about to be launched and make its debut. So talk to me more about the audition process, how you auditioned for Dimple.
So Panchami Ghavri, who's our casting director, actually reached out to me in 2019. I think it was 2019 September, August, I want to say. And she reached out to me and she was like, "Hi, I am so and I am casting for a Netflix show." It was called When Dimple Met Rishi back then, based on Sandhya Menon's novel title. And she was like, I'm testing, I wanted to test you for Dimple. And at that time, I mean, I wasn't actively doing things in order to get these audition calls. I did happen to get a few. A couple of them came close, but for some reason, it always, how you always have that one tick at the back of your head where you're like, something's not right. Like, for some reason, I wanted to wait it out and I wanted to really take that step when something came along that felt right. Also, in general, nothing has changed since 2019 because I am terrified of auditions. I get extremely nervous. I'm very, very underconfident. Sorry, when it comes to auditions. However, when she sent me Dimple's character sketch, I fell in love because up until then, everything that came to me was, oh, she's this like cute, chubby, like girl next door, and she is bubbly, and she is this, and she is that. What I loved about Dimple's character sketch was that it had nothing to do with the way Dimple looked. And that was extremely refreshing. I just knew she wore glasses. That's the only thing we knew. We didn't know her skin color. We didn't know if she was thin or if she was fat or if she was tall, if she was short. We didn't know what she looked like. But there was so much detail about how she is and who she is. And when I read her, I was like, oh my god, she's gorgeous. Um, so I went in for my very first. Actually, you know what? I was supposed to go in for an audition. It was one of those calls where she was like, "Okay, okay, when is the soonest that you can come?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm like traveling to Japan. I was going on a YouTube trip." In a couple of days, and I'm like, I'm literally leaving for Japan tomorrow or day after, so I don't know how I can make it to this. And the day that I was supposed to go for the audition, there was a tornado or some type of weather situation that happened in Japan, and my flight got delayed 6 hours, and that's how I actually got that window to go and audition for Mismatched. And that was that. When I landed in Nepal, I was going to say, when I landed in Tokyo, I got a call saying, "Hey, Netflix and our direction team really likes your audition. We would like to test you with the boy that we were looking for, Rishi." And I was like, "Okay." And that's how I came back. I retested with Rohit, and then, well,
So
here we are now with season 3.
okay, so like you're saying that there was nothing to do with her looks, and you were like, she's so gorgeous. So I'm very curious to know what were your own first impressions about Dimple now that you have
Yeah.
successfully portrayed her over the course of these 3 seasons. Like, do you think those impressions stayed the same when you first read the script as compared to now that you have wrapped up the third season?
When I read of her the first time, what I felt most excited about was that I thought she is nothing like me. I felt like she's so different, you know. I felt like she didn't smile much. She didn't really have a sense of humor. She wasn't very likable. She was extremely flawed. She was hell bent on doing what she in her head thought was right. She was extremely stubborn, very, very motivated, aggressively ambitious. And I just thought that there is so much about her that's so new to me, that's nothing like me. But now that I've spent 5 years being her, I've come to realize that a lot of that is true, but there is so much more to her that I've kind of learned, you know. She has this whole very emotional side to her where she, I think she is selfless about the love that she has for someone. She might not realize it, but she actually goes through altering her life course if she loves someone or if there is someone that becomes special to her, which I think is beautiful about her. I love that Dimple doesn't really hold back on anything. If there's anything she's feeling or she's thinking, it's right there, right? She reacts to it. I mean, you have repercussions to it, but I like that she's extremely transparent when it comes to. You're never going to have to sit and think what's going on in that head of hers because she's going to tell you. But over the past 5 years, I think I've reached a point where I've grown very, very fond of her, and I feel very happy and grateful that I get to be her.
And how was it like stepping back into the shoes of her? Like, sometimes I talk to actors and they say that, oh, it was actually a bit harder, even though I have, played her for 2 more seasons, and the third season it's like, oh, it's hard. So was it like a bit easier for you to portray Dimple this time around?
I wouldn't say easy, but I mean, at the risk of sounding a little bit cocky, I wouldn't say it was hard because I don't think she ever left. You know what I mean? I mean, I've lived with her for 5 years now, dude. She's a huge part of um, my life. And I am a huge romance fan. The fact that I get to live this life where there's a romance book, female main character that has been adapted into film, and I get to be that person is a huge high for me. It's a major ego boost in my head. So I'm never living, nobody's ever living that down. So in my head, Dimple, I mean, I could switch into her as soon as I reach on set for Mismatched. And I think the creators of the show around me have actually made that process very, very simple. My co-stars have made that process extremely special for me. So there's something about this show that when you do come back, no matter how long it's been since you've been on the set, but when you do come back to the set, everything just clicks into place and it's go time.
Yeah, and speaking about your co-stars and crew, do you remember the first time you met the wonderful co-stars and crew affiliated with this project?
Of course, I did. Like I like Rohit is the first person I met because I tested with him. But I remember our direction team was actually kind of doing a reading for everyone, and that's the first time I met everybody. And it's such a funny story because I was shooting something else, and I was shooting this show for my YouTube channel where I was actually fishing in the ocean for like 6 hours. And then I did not have time to take a shower before going to my first official reading of Mismatch. So I've actually entered this room full of strangers and I've announced, "Hi, I'm Prajakta. I smell of fish. I'm really sorry." And I've stunk up the whole room here smelling of the ocean. But I mean, if there was ever a way to break the ice, that was what worked. And everybody was just lovely. I think the first friend I made, other than Rohit, on that set was Muskan, and we still continue to be very, very close. And then over a course of now 5 years, I've actually ended up making many beautiful relationships on that set.
Yeah, so what a way to make an entrance, like very simple coded.
Yes.
So, straying the conversation away from this particular exciting project, I have to ask you a bit more about, your wonderful humanitarian side. You're also the first youth climate champion of UNDP India, actively advocating, taking strict action against climate change. So, how did this sort of conscious decision come into inception, pertaining to using your platform for such a significant and impactful cause?
It wasn't conscious at all actually. So I started speaking about socially like I started making socially relevant content beyond the comedy and the lifestyle stuff that I was doing on my channel in 2000, I want to say 15. Yeah, in 2015, a few months into making content on my YouTube channel. Um, I actually started a conversation around body positivity and stuff like that. That went into mental health, that went into education, that went into gender equality, then it went into inclusivity, it went. I said girls' education already. And then climate action actually was the last kind of domino to that whole string. I remember UNDP getting in touch with me asking me if I was interested in kind of collaborating, and I was like 100% I am. When they told me they wanted me to be a youth climate champion for the country, I was like, why me? Because let's be very honest, there is no active work that I have done in this field. I mean, I know there are people who've been working for far longer and have done more impactful, actionable work. But that's when we ended up chatting about how the possibilities of impact through Touchwood, my community, uh, were exciting. And I agreed with them. That is how I went on board and I actually started working on it. And I'm so glad that I did when I did. But as of now, I feel very happy and proud that I get to use my platforms to kind of be a vehicle between getting conversations that need to be done simplified to an audience that is caring about it, and eventually bring about some kind of impact in the society. There's a couple of projects we are working on that I'm not allowed to speak about, I think, yet, but when they go through, I feel like I'll feel prouder about doing
Well,
this.
we're already proud of you, whatever you're doing. um, but yeah, you're also about to launch your upcoming book, Too Good to Be True. So first of all, huge congratulations on that.
Thank
What
you.
a massive, massive feat. So it's releasing on, I think, 5th December. So
So it
very
goes
soon.
up on pre-order on
Okay.
December 5th, yeah. And then when it goes up on pre-order, we'll know when it comes out.
Oh wow. So how did you decide penning down, a novel was also something you wanted to pursue professionally, and what can you tell the people about the general theme of the book?
So it's a romance fiction novel. It's called Too Good to Be True. I love romance and I love writing romance as much as I love reading romance. Uh, if I had to step out of my YouTube universe, if there was anything I was always dreaming of making, creating, writing, producing, it was always romance. I derive too much joy from it, and I'm also slightly delusional with it. It's a very seriously aspirational space for me when it comes to romance, which is the only explanation we could have to how I went on and wrote a whole ass fucking book. But so I was working on a couple of ideas to make into movies and shows and things like that, because I wanted to write long form and I wanted to pitch it to production houses and OTT platforms and be like, hey, do you all think you want to spend some money on something I've written and make it? So the story that's the idea of the story of the book kind of came to me then, and I wanted to make it a 8 episode season. But when I started writing it, I, I started writing these excerpts of how I imagined everything to be when we actually started adapting to screenplay. When I shared these excerpts with the team, they were like, Pradita, these look a lot like chapters. And I was like, they do. So should I just like dare? And they're like, yeah, you can give it a go. And that's literally how it started, because it's such a daunting thing to even get up one morning and tell yourself, "Ki chalo, come, let's write a book." I could never imagine doing that. You know, I love books, and I've been a reader all my life. I think the past 3 years is when I've read the most amount of books, and I love it. But I could never even have the guts to imagine that I want to go ahead and write a book. So I have no clue how this has happened, honestly. I started writing in March last year, and I literally submit the final draft today. Like, right after this call, I go and I just make the final tweaks and I send it, because it's a Friday today. Monday is when my book goes into fucking printing, dude. Like, I'm at that point right now where it's just all so overwhelming. I am trying to just get through these days so that I don't like self combust into a pile of ashes. So that's how it started. I have no clue how I've done it. I have no clue.
You recently also were the only Indian creator to be a part of, this year's Olympics and the IOC. So talk to me more about that particular experience.
That was great, and it was crazy because I actually ran my first and probably the last 10K. When the Olympics team kind of reached out to me, they were like, "Hey Pradita, we would love for you to come to Paris." I was like, "Yeah, I would love to be in Paris and watch the Olympics and make content." And they were like, "Would you like to run? Are you a runner?" I said, "No." Like, "Would you like to run a 10K?" And in that moment, I was like, I don't know, but like if I ever had to run a 10K, I mean, starting at the Paris Olympics is pretty iconic. So I was like, okay, you know what, fine, I'll do it. And then it was all great because they put me in touch with Lloyd, who's my trainer. He sent me a whole plan that I sat with my trainer here on with, and then we kind of started training for it for a few months. I honestly didn't think I would be able to do it. And on the day of the race, everybody was like, "Oh, you have to make sure that you have like your salts, and you have enough like electrolytes, and you make sure that you have a lot of protein." And I was freaking out, dude. Like, I was so scared that I've never run 10K. I don't even enjoy running as much. I don't know how. And I was having one of those things where I was like, why do I sign up for more shit than I can deliver? Like, why did I have one of those like peak days where I was like, oh, I can do it, but now I'm here to deal with it and I don't like it. So I just took my team out and I was like, we're having dumplings. So, moral of the story is that if I could run a 10K with almost zero training and a plate full of dumplings, I think it was a successful trip to the Olympics.
Wow, what a beautiful answer. What a lovely answer. So you have already, garnered such a prestigious like amount of awards and accolades, like being a daytime Emmy award winner for your collaboration with Michelle Obama's Creators for Change, I think. And as we speak, you are actively branching out to like a different, distinct creative outlets, writing, acting, content creation, all of that. So how does it feel knowing that you have established such a massive fan base from around the world? Like, does it ever get pressurizing knowing that there's so many people out there already in anticipation to witnessing what you are putting out there?
I mean, it definitely is the wind under my wings. Honestly, I don't think I would have the guts to do any of these things unless I had the community that I do online. Everything, every opportunity, every idea, every step that I take, even if it's an inch out of my comfort zone, to try new things, to kind of even dare to dream, it stems from my community. I could not have done this without the audience that has held my hand through thick and thin over the past almost 10 years now online. And I say this all the time, and I will say it again, I literally have the best audience in the world. They are supportive, they are honest, they are loud, they are there, they are they also offer criticism, which I appreciate. Which is why over the past decade, I think our relationship has gone beyond just what it was, and I feel very grateful that I have this entire army of people that I can actually lean on when I'm trying these things. So it is extremely motivating. It also keeps me on track. It also keeps my sanity in check, because I know that uh, whatever I am is because of the people in my life. It's because of my community. It's because of my team. It's because of my family who have been my strongest pillars. So keeping that in mind kind of also helps staying grounded, keeping your vision clear, having that clarity of thought going into anything. I was a lot less hinged when I was younger and I started making content where I was almost overconfident where I was like I can do anything, you know. I would get up in the morning and I'm like, yeah, I'll write a song, yeah, I'll go and I'll play it at the UN, yeah, I'll do this. At this point I feel like the pressure of it all also weighs on my shoulder in a good way, where now everything I do comes from a place of more information, more thought, more planning, and I like that. I mean, I turned 31 this year, and honestly, I love that at this point every day in my life is planned. There's a lot more structure than there was before, and that has only come to me because of my community and because of my audience. So I feel very grateful for that. Having said that, I would be lying if I said that, yeah, I can't wait for the book to come out. I can't, but I am so scared and I am so nervous. Because I also know, because it's such a commitment, right? Reading a book, there's so much time you're going to spend. There is so much you're going to uh, there is so much else you can do with that time and that money, but you choose to spend it on a book, and I know how much commitment that takes. So I'm really hoping that it's everyone's worthwhile.
Going back to Mismatched, we are literally on the verge of the third installment releasing. So, how is this anticipation period going for you, and what can you tell us, about what to expect from season three?
Dude, I am such a ball of nerves right now. Honestly, I literally, like, my sanity is hanging by a thread just for today, because once I submit my book today, I have tomorrow and day after. These are the only 2 days I have to spend with my family, to like get enough sleep, to like meditate as much as I can, because Monday we start promoting Mismatch, and then it's a roller coaster because we get done with Mismatch. I get into the book comes out, I get into the book tour, like it's a whole thing that's happening. And then there's another very major life event that happens after. Uh, but so I am very, very excited for it. I think it's the best pilot of the 3 seasons. I mean, I love the show. I'm a hardcore fan of Dimple and Rishi. But I love how the season starts. I love how much they are going through, but also coming out victorious in a way or two. And I love that you get to see a lot more of Dimple this time.
We are very excited to see Dimple too. She is such a sweetheart. We love her.
Yeah.
But so ending note, wrapping up our beautiful conversation. The book is coming very soon. The third installment is about to launch. So what else? What's next for you other than that project? Or like any other projects that you're currently working on?
I finished working on another project for Prime Video. It's called Andhera. It's a supernatural thriller, which is again something I don't know. I don't know how things like that have just happened for me. Very different from anything I've done before. Again, very exciting. That comes out hopefully soon. There's another Netflix project that I am working on right now, which is very, very exciting. I also feel very proud that I get to be a part of something, a story that's so beautiful and so important to be told. We don't know anything about that yet. I don't know when that comes out. I don't know what happens, but I'm just happy that I'm there. And then we've got another thing lining up, hopefully, but I don't know if I can talk about it yet.